Okay, welcome everybody to today's class. Today, again, we're looking at advanced idioms and phrasal verbs. Now, I do have a book I can recommend on this subject because it's my book, and I show you it at the start of every class. So I'm sorry I didn't get this ready beforehand. Here it is. You can get this on my website, skype-lessons.com, or on Amazon. So please, if you're interested in phrasal verbs, I think all of the phrasal verbs on this board today are in this book. But these phrasal verbs and idioms I'm taking from a book by Oxford University Press. If you look for it on Amazon or Google, you'll find it. It's called Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs. And so this is the same vocabulary. If you go and find that book or buy that book, I recommend it. You can use it with these classes. And you can use my other phrasal verb videos for this book if you want to get it. And so it's on my website, skypelessons.com. Now, we're going to start with wind somebody up today. In fact, all of the phrasal verbs in today's lesson, they all seem to be related to emotions. And I'm a very emotional person, and I think if anybody's been watching this channel for some time, they'll realise that I'm quite an emotional person, that I find it quite difficult to keep my emotions in check. I find it quite difficult to rein them in. There's another good phrasal verb, rein something in. It means control or restrain something. I'm not sure why, but I think we often think of the emotions and our instincts, we often think of them metaphorically as horses. And this is certainly a horsey phrasal verb because the reins are the things you use to control the horse. And so if you get carried away, where's get carried away? Here it is. We've done this one before. If you get carried away by your emotions, I have this image in my head of you being carried away by the horse, and the horse symbolizes your emotions or your instincts. I think it's very common in literature and in art that our emotions, our instincts are symbolized by horses. I'm not sure why. Okay, so all of today's phrasal verbs are about emotions. So to wind somebody up means to irritate somebody. This is one of the meanings of wind somebody up. If you wind someone up, if there's a somebody in there, it must mean irritate somebody, annoy them, make them angry in some kind of way. And I've got it again over here. We will mention this one more time. So wind somebody up means to irritate somebody. And it's exactly the same as another expression, to rub somebody up the wrong way. I quite like this expression. We have a few phrasal verbs with this rub, or a few idiomatic expressions. And if you rub someone up the wrong way, you wind them up, you annoy them, you irritate them. Now, don't get this one mixed up with another rub phrasal verb, which is to rub off on somebody, which is where somebody's behaviour changes because they're constantly exposed to somebody else's good behaviour or bad behaviour. And that good behaviour or bad behaviour rubs off on them. It gets transferred from one person to another. So if anybody out there is a parent, I think most parents would like their children to find a nice group of other children, well-behaved children, polite children, so that politeness, that good behaviour will rub off on their own children, hopefully. Yeah, and so by repeatedly hanging around with these good kids, parents hope that the good behaviour will rub off on their own children. So that's a little bit different, that one. It's certainly very different from rub someone up the wrong way. But please don't forget that wind up has a second meaning. When it's not wind somebody up, when it's just wind up, it means to end up, to finish up. So if you say something like, my son went on holiday last week and he had a great time, but by the third day he wound up in hospital. He ended up in hospital with food poisoning. Perhaps the food wasn't great quality and he wound up in hospital. It just means end up in hospital, finish up in hospital. Now, if you go off the deep end, you lose control of your emotions. You get carried away, and specifically, you lose control of your anger. You let your anger flares up. You become angry. You suddenly lose control. So Yeah, please remember, go off the deep end. It's when you lose control of yourself, you get angry. And perhaps when you get angry, you scream your head off, you shout your head off, yeah? These expressions are idiomatic and they just mean to scream and shout a lot. And if you laugh your head off, well, you're laughing a lot, aren't you? Laugh your head off would be the opposite of something like cry your eyes out or bawl your eyes out, which was in the previous lesson. So all of these are really common. I promise you will come across most of these expressions if you're speaking to English people or reading English books or watching English TV. Now, stir something up, conjure something up, summon something up. This means that something has called up. You can even use call something up. Something has brought forth memories or emotions. And so you might say that the smell of paint summons up memories of my childhood. I don't know why I associate that smell of paint with my childhood. Perhaps I smelt a lot of paint in my childhood. But yeah, it summons up memories of my childhood. Or perhaps somebody's behaviour stirs up your anger. Yeah, it could, meaning it brings it forth. It calls it up. It calls up your anger. It makes you get angry, basically. If something stirs up your anger, it makes you get angry. So yeah, it could stir up your anger, but it could stir something else up. It could stir up warm feelings just as much as angry feelings. It doesn't have to be angry, but it often is, I must admit. And I think that this stirrer, I can think of a few other words with stirrer. When somebody stirs something up, it might mean that they're trying to cause a conflict or a fight somewhere. There is a rude word that I could use here, and I don't think there are any kids out there, so I'm going to say it. We do say a shit stirrer, meaning somebody who likes to cause arguments and fights between other people. So that's related to stir something up. If somebody's stirring up trouble or stirring up a fight, it can also be used in that way. But it's often used for memories and emotions, when something stirs up your memories or stirs up your emotions. Okay, to take something in means to absorb information. So I hope that you're all taking in all of these phrasal verbs and idioms. And I hope that when they sink in, it's very similar phrasal verb here. When these phrasal verbs sink in, you'll be able to use them fluently. So yeah, to take something in can mean to absorb information. It can even mean to take in nutrients.